Hello BookTube, this is shelf tour number 5. So we're going to start right off here with 3 volumes. This is H.L. Mencken's American Language. And then they have Supplement 1 and Supplement 2. This was a lifelong ongoing project by Mencken. I love just dipping in and out of it. There's a lot of interesting asides and notes about American language. Its relationship to English, and of course its influence on and influenced by other languages. So this came out in 1960, Alfred A. Knopf. You can see the title page there. So you can still see these at book sales. They were immensely popular at one time. They're good to have, they're good to dip in and out of, so I'd recommend them. The next thing I have here was a little folio edition of the Devil's Dictionary. Ambrose Bierce, introduction by Miles Kington, and illustrated by Peter Forster. London, the Folio Society, 2003. A lot of great humor in this. His definitions will definitely make you think. Again, a volume you see in so many different editions. This one I happen to really like. I like the size of it. Then earlier on the shelf tour, we had the New Oxford Book of English Verse, and now we have the New Oxford Book of American Verse. This one is chosen and edited by Richard Ellman, New York, Oxford University Press, 1976. Ralph Waldo Emerson, just say some random ones here. Robinson Jeffers, Carl Sandburg. Has a section on folk songs and ballads. Edward Dorn, James Wright, Galway Canal. The next one here I have is one of my favorites. This is the Favorite Poems of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. It doesn't have a dust jacket and it's a little worn. It's gotten a lot of use over the years. With an introduction by Henry Seidel Canby and with illustrations by Edward A. Wilson. Let's see what we have here. The Courtship of Miles Standish. And here's an illustration from My Lost Youth. Song of Hiawatha. And here's the Children's Hour. So, yeah, great fun. Here is a little Leaves of Grass by Whitman. And this has illustrations by Boardman Robinson. So, let's see here. The Illustrated Modern Library, introduced by Carl Sandburg. And more Whitman. This is Everman's Library of Pocket Poets. Handy little volume to put in your pocket and just head out. So let's see, Alfred A. Knopf, New York. This is a Borzoi book, and this came out in 1994. Put this plain text. Then we go to Edna St. Vincent Millay. This is Selected Poems, the Centenary Edition, edited by Colin Falk, forward by Richard Everhart. This is HarperCollins publisher, and this came out in 1991, it looks like. Here's the poet. So here we have the hedge of hemlocks. And then another one of her works. This is Conversation at Midnight, Edna St. Vincent Millay, Harper's. This is Harper & Brothers Publishers, New York. And this is from 1937. This is the second edition. This is an odd thing. It's a poem done as drama, so it's like a play, but it's poetry. It's pretty interesting. Next thing we have is one of these Cambridge companions. This is a companion to Emily Dickinson, edited by Wendy Martin. This Cambridge University Press, 2002. So we have biography and publication history, so there's a couple articles there. Poetic strategies and themes, a few articles there. And then cultural context. Few articles there, a select bibliography, and an index. So these are real handy, especially if you're studying a poet or a writer. So now we get into, excuse me, what can only be described as it has to be described as my favorite poet, and this is Robert Frost. So this is an older volume of his poems here. Collected poems of Robert Frost. Garden City Publishing Company Incorporated, Garden City, New York, and this came out originally in 1930. This is 1942. All the great ones. Well, not all. He wrote stuff after this, but a lot of the great stuff is in here. Home Burial, Mending Wall. So, nice, easy to read print. Then we have a biography of Robert Frost. This one's quite good, by J. Perini. Some of the early Frost biographies were not so good. So this is Henry Holton Company, New York. Robert Frost's Life by J. Perini, and this is from 1999. There he is with his dog Gilly in Vermont, the top picture. And here's a famous volume of his poetry. Again, no dust jacket. This is North of Boston Poems, Dodd and Mead Company. Edited by Edward Connery Latham. Woodcuts by J.J. Lanks. And this is from 1975. So it has Mending Wall, Home Burial again, Blueberries, After Apple Picking, Snow. Let me see if I can find some of this art. Yeah, this is the sort of woodcut you see in it. Quite nice. Then you have, excuse me, a bigger collection. This is Robert Frost Poetry and Prose. This is edited by Edward Connery Latham and Latham and Lawrence Thompson. Holt, Reinhardt, and Winston, New York. And this looks like it came out in 1972. So this would have poetry, selections from 11 books, other samplings of various periods and kinds, and then they have letters and documents of all kinds, selected bibliography, index. This one here is, I need to fix this up a little bit. Robert Frost, In the Clearing. It's one of his last, or maybe his last book, I'm not sure. Wasn't as taken with this one. In the Clearing by Robert Frost, Holt, Reinhardt, and Winston, New York. This is from 1962. Again, was not quite so into this one as I maybe was with the others. I'll have to take that up a little bit. Then here again, one of these little Everyman's Library of Pocket Poets, Frost. And this is Alfred A. Knopf, a Boar's Eye book, and this is 1997. Smaller print, but you can carry it around with you, so it's really nice. This is The Road Not Taken, Robert Frost, a selection of Robert Frost poems with an introduction and commentary by Louis Untermeyer. And this came out in, let's see, it has an illustration by John O'Hara Cosgrave II. Holt, Reinhardt, and Winston, New York. And this is from, it looks like like the 80s. On these poems, they have so many copyrights listed because they've published so many different places. So these are the sort of illustrations you have in there. Then the final Frost is this thing, Robert Frost, a Pictorial Chronicle, and it's just what it says it is. This is Kathleen Morrison. So, photos from places he's lived, of himself. Now we'll jump to another poet. This is Robert Lowell, Day by Day. And this is Farrar, Straus, and Giroux, New York. This is second printing in 1977. I enjoy these. It's a pretty good collection. Those of you who are into ancient classics will know this name. This is Richmond Lattimore, The Stride of Time, but this isn't one of his, well, he does have some small translations in here, but this is his own poetry. And this came out in Ann Arbor, the University of Michigan Press. New Poems and Translations, 1966, by Richmond Lattimore, The Stride of Time. This is the first edition. So he has like a section here of the seven sins, so he has a poem about each of those. He has a section of translations towards the back. So one's from Virgil's Aeneid, one's from Virgil's Georgics. Yeah, Sonnet on Hope, Souvenirs of Sicily. So it's just fun to read his own stuff, although you do get some of the translations. Here's a book of essays. This is Essays and Conversation, Arts of the Possible by Adrienne Rich. Not always my favorite poet, but an important thinker as well as poet, so I did, here's the author. I did enjoy this volume. And then the last thing on this tour is one of those things that doesn't really fit anywhere. Beautifully, beautifully made. This is a McSweeney's. It's the only one I have. Here's the end papers. So if you're a book lover and you like books, how they're designed and printed, how they're laid out, these are great fun. This is Vikings, Monks, Philosophers, and Horrors, Old Forms Unearthed. Curated by Darren Franich and Graham Weatherly. So here's some of the old forms they've uncovered. So what do we have here? Pantoum, Legendary Saga, Socratic Dialogue. They've got just all sorts of these things. Great fun. So that's it for a short for shelf tour number 5. We'll be on 6. We get into English literature. So this ended the poetry and some of the language stuff up here. So we'll be moving right along, and then that English literature will dominate the shelf tours for a little while because I've got quite a bit of it. So I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you, BookTube.